We are live. Hey, how is it going? Lee Hayward here, back with another live video Q&A for Friday, September 24th. And it's been a little while since I've done one of these live Q&A, and I'm looking forward to this one. So hopefully you are too. I enjoy doing these live Q&A, but over the past several weeks, I took a hiatus from doing them. Now I was still putting out content. Like, I'm more active over on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook page. If you follow me over there, you know I'm interacting, chatting. I've been doing some videos over there. But with YouTube, I took a little hiatus, and it wasn't a planned hiatus. It was just I got busy doing other things. This summer's been a busy one for me, and I'll share some of that with you here on the chat while we're waiting for people to tune in. But I just want to let everyone know, if you're brand new to the whole Total Fitness Bodybuilding live Q&A, this is something that I do Friday afternoons. And I'm planning on making this a regular thing now, moving forward into the fall and into the winter. Now we're back to our regularly scheduled live Q&A every Friday afternoon. And this is just a chance where we can kind of like chat off the cuff. So if you have any questions that you would like to discuss with regards to building muscle, losing fat, fitness, nutrition, any specific challenges with your workouts, strategies, mindset, anything like that, any fitness related questions or topics of discussion that you would like to have covered, post them into the video chat window there. You'll see the chat window on the side, so you can go ahead and post it there. And just anything goes, right? You know, if I can help you, I'll do the best I can to try and answer your question. If I can't, then I'll try and recommend somebody who can. But like I say, we're just going to shoot the breeze and have a chat here over the next half hour, 45 minutes or so. And who do we got? We got Lee Dunnigan joining in. Says, long time no see. Hope you're doing well. I am. Thanks for asking. And this summer has been an interesting one for me. Over the I made the comeback to bodybuilding competition. If you've been following along with my content, I've shared some stuff here on YouTube, and I've shared some stuff, especially over on Facebook, how I made the comeback to the Masters over 40 bodybuilding back in July, and was very pleased with that. I mean, I won the Masters division, the over 40 division, in classic physique. And that was a first time I ever did classic physique, because the last time I competed, there was no classic physique. That was a new category for me, and I like it because it has the height weight cutoff. So I came in at the top of my height weight class. So in my case, I'm 5'6", and I had to come in under 175, and I weighed in it was like 174, right? Just a smidge under 174. So I was right at the top of the height weight class cutoff and felt really good about it. And that's a nice weight for me. I feel healthy at that weight. I feel athletic at that weight, and it's not a heavy, sluggish weight, if you will. Whereas that's one of the drawbacks I used to find back in the day when I was much bigger, is that it hindered my athletic performance in terms of endurance, cardio conditioning, and just my ability to do normal stuff. Because, I mean, at my heaviest weight ever, I mean, I did bulk up, i.e., plump up, if you will, all right, to 240 pounds at 5'6". That was several years back. I was that heavy. And even though it's great from a strength point of view, it's not healthy, and it's not good from just a practical day-to-day point of view. And to kind of show you the difference now, like I said, I did the bodybuilding competition in July, and this what was it? Not 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I actually competed in the Newfoundland Provincial Road Cycling Championships as well, which was a 112-kilometer road race. And I did that. And that was like chalk and cheese, right? Two totally different challenges right there. And I've been doing a lot of cycling and a lot of weekend cycling, a lot of, group rides and things like that. So that's part of the reason why I wasn't doing the regular video chats, because Fridays, very often I'd be on the road traveling to different destinations and stuff, practicing for road cycling. So I did 2 provincial championships, provincial bodybuilding championships and provincial road cycling championships this summer. So it's been an active summer, and it's a great, kind of like tying this whole thing together, my Fit Over 40 journey. So I really felt good about it. And I got to say, I'm in better shape now, at 43, coming on 43, it's just my birthday's coming up very soon, right? 43 years old. I'm in better shape now than I was even when I was in my 20s and 30s, especially when you look at cardiovascular conditioning. So that's really cool. And it's nice to have that, something that you can look forward to. So some improvements and just enjoying life and loving the process. So wanted to share that, especially for the regulars who are kind of like wondering, where the heck is Lee and what the heck's he doing? Why hasn't he been posting these videos like he normally does? So that's what's up with me. Now, what's up with you? Right? Let me know what's up with you. And if you have any questions here, let's get into it. And so first off, for those of you tuning in live right now, if you are new to the chat, type the letter N into the chat window to let me know that you're brand new. And if you're a regular, type the letter R into the chat. Now, I actually recognize some of the names, so I know some of you are regulars for sure. But if you are new, the letter N. If you're a regular, type the letter R, just to kind of let me know who's where and whether you're new or regular. And also let me know what time it is in your local zone. For me, it's 6:16 p.m. right now. I'm in Newfoundland right now. So who do we got? We have Lee joining in. Lee's a regular. We have Space Battleship Alex is a regular. I recognize that name. Samuel's joining in, regular. We have Kane joining in. Dario, another regular, joining in. We have Jeff. Hey, Jeff, how's it going? Cameron's brand new. Welcome, Cameron. Nice to have you joining in. We have Fifth or Piff. Piff Possum. I don't know. I might be screwing that one up. He's new to the chat. Well, welcome, Piff or Fifth. Do you pronounce it with a P or a F? Because I know PH, right? Is that a or no, PITH. Anyway, Samuel, Mohammed, Kane. Who else we got there? Eagle Eye John, join him back in again. All right, Piff Possum. Piff Possum's new to the chat. Well, welcome. Again, if you're brand new, like I say, it's always nice to have new people tuning in. And again, the way this works, anything you want to discuss, questions or topics of discussion related to fitness, nutrition, post them in the chat window and we'll have a discussion and I'll do the best I can to help you out. All right, if there's a couple coming through there now. Kane saying, I've been training hard on no breakfast, just coffee. Then 30 minutes before a workout, taking 5 grams of creatine. All right, this, I'm not sure if that's a statement or a question, but it's a topic of discussion that I want to address here. And this is one that I have mixed opinions on because I've done fasted training and I've done fed training. And it really depends on you, your situation, how long and how hard you're training for, and what your ultimate goals are. Because there's no right or wrong answer with this. And this is something you really need to appreciate when it comes to fitness and nutrition is when people try and say that, hey, this is the way to do it, like it's my way or no way, and this is right and everybody else is wrong. If you hear anybody saying that, I would be very cautious because there's a broad spectrum here and there is really no right or wrong answer when it comes to fitness and nutrition. Because it all depends on who are we talking about, what kind of athlete, what kind of individual are we talking about, what kind of training are they doing, what's their age, their goals, like all this kind of stuff plays a role. And when it comes to fasted training versus fed training, it really depends on what you're achieving. Now, I'll be honest, when I was trying to get ripped for the bodybuilding show, I did utilize some fasted training because in the short term, it can be a useful tool to help accelerate fat burning. And you got to be cautious with it because it's like a double-edged sword. I mean, when you go after an overnight fast and you do some sort of exercise, like whether that's cardio or even if you're in the gym working out, yeah, you're going to readily tap into burning body fat because obviously you have nothing else in your system and it's easy to access those free fatty acids that are just floating in your system after an overnight fast. However, it's a double-edged sword because one, very often, if you're pushing yourself hard and you burn up that initial glycogen and those initial fatty acids that are in your system, you're going to run out of energy quickly. Now, if you're only doing a short workout, it's probably not going to be a big deal. You're not going to really notice any ill effects from it. But if you're trying to do a long, hard workout, that's when you're going to feel the effects of it. You're going to suffer in terms of your exercise performance. And not only that, this is the kicker. like most people are doing fasted exercise, whether it's fasted cardio or fasted training or whatever, because they want to burn body fat. The problem is very often when you do fasted exercise, it elevates your appetite and it makes you want to eat more afterwards. And this is something that I found myself is I was falling into the trap of doing fasted exercise. And then I would get so hungry and low blood sugar and everything else that I would end up overeating afterwards. And I did that a lot. I mean, especially when I started getting into more cycling, because cycling, you burn massive amounts of calories. Like a weight training workout doesn't burn nearly as many calories as a lot of people think. On average, you're burning about 10 calories a set. Maybe more, maybe less, depending on the size of the individual and the intensity and the type of exercise. Like obviously, you're going to burn more calories doing a set of squats than you are a set of bicep curls. But ballpark average, 10 calories a set. That's what you can look at. So, I mean, if you do 20 sets, you just burn 200 calories. 200 calories is not a lot. Like a protein bar is 200 calories or more in some cases, depending on the type of bar it is. So it's not a lot of calories that you burn during a weight training workout. And this whole afterburn effect that everyone talks about, oh, like your metabolism is going to be spiked and you're going to be burning calories for hours after the workout's over. It's like 10%. So yeah, there is an afterburn, but it's like a big whopping 10% afterburn. So, okay, you went into the gym, you did 20 sets and you get a 10% afterburn. So now you burn not just the 200 calories in the gym, but you're burning an extra 20 calories on top of it. Like you eat 2 protein bars and now you're back in a calorie surplus again. Like you just canceled out the calories that you ate or burned in the gym. Like that's how small it is. So people trying to justify slamming back a ton of calories because of weight training, you don't need to. And that's why you can sometimes get away with fasted training and not have it suffer too much. But if you get into burning a lot of calories, like in form of cycling, where, I mean, or even any type of long distance or long duration cardio where you're moving nonstop for long periods of time, that's when you can burn massive amounts of calories. Like if you push it really hard with cardio, you could probably be burning 500 to 1,000 calories an hour. And if you do like 2 hours of cardio, I mean, you could literally be burning 1,500 to 2,000 calories, depending on the size of the individual and how hard you're going. And if you go longer than that, I mean, it can just add up. Like I've had cardio sessions literally where it's like big, long bike rides. Like I went on a big group bike ride just a few weeks ago, and I burned about 4,000 calories on that ride. Now, granted, it was a 100-mile bike ride, 162 kilometers. Like it was an all-day thing, but I burned about 4,000 calories that day. So, I mean, like the amount of food that you need to consume to compensate for that is massive. Whereas weight training in the gym, like you're burning a few hundred. So you have to look at it from the bigger picture. Now, if you're doing massive amounts of calorie burning, fasted training is not ideal because you're going to be running on empty, right? You're going to be depleted and you need to fuel that exercise. And this is something that I've switched my approach, because now that I'm getting more into long distance endurance training, as well as still doing strength training, I'm more proactive when it comes to fueling up in advance, pre-feeding the machine. And I find that gives me energy to sustain my workouts. And then I'm less likely to go binge eat afterwards. Whereas if you very often do training in a fasted state, yeah, you're burning higher levels of fat during the training itself, but it very often leads you feeling low blood sugar, low energy, excessively hungry, and it's so much easier than to overeat afterwards. And I find that if you eat before and sometimes even during, like when I'm doing long rides, I'm eating during the ride, it actually sustains my appetite, stabilizes my blood sugar, and I'm less likely to go and binge and overeat afterwards. So it depends on how you're approaching this, right? So it's not one size fits all, right, wrong, black, white, anything like that. It all depends. And this why when it comes to looking for a coach or someone who's going to help you, you need to find someone who's going to be able to help you with your specific situation. Because I always say this to my coaching students, like if I was coaching a 20-something-year-old who wanted to bulk up versus a 50-year-old who wanted to trim down, like they're two totally ends of the spectrum. Right? Like the advice I'd give a 20-year-old trying to bulk up is completely opposite than what I give a 50-year-old who's trying to trim down. So you need to look at it from a much bigger picture and a bigger lens and say, like, what do you need for you at this stage of the game for your body type, your situation right now. And that's what you need to focus on. And like, this is where the difference between like knowledge and wisdom, like knowledge is just trying to accumulate more and more, whereas true wisdom is actually elimination. It's cutting out all the crap that you don't need and focusing on the few essentials that are going to make a difference for you at this stage of the game. And that's what I like to do. I like to simplify it for the individual. But thanks for mentioning that, Kane. That opened up the door for that big old rant story or whatever you want to call it. All right, Dario's got a question. Any tips for getting back on track after getting off track for a week or two? Okay, if it's literally a week or two, that's not a big deal. You probably could just resume where you left off. I mean, maybe for your first couple workouts back, just go like at 50%, like just kind of go through the motions, if you will. But that's not a big gap in the greater scheme of things. Now, even after a week or two off, you will probably notice a slight decline in your exercise performance or your work capacity, but you'll quickly regain that because it's not a big gap. It's not like a month or two off or anything like that. So it's not a big deal. What I would do is just for your first workout back, like literally just show up to the gym, go through the motions. Don't worry about trying to match what you lifted before and say, oh, I lifted 2 plates aside on the bench press for 10 reps. And oh, I got to get 2 plates aside on the bench press for 10 reps a day. Or like, who gives a crap? Just go in there and go through the motions. Just take warm up weights and just go through the motions and enjoy your workout. Just enjoy being into the gym and lifting again. Don't even overthink it. And then for the next workout, go a little bit harder, go a little bit harder than you did for the previous one, right? So, I mean, if you were using warm-up weights for the first workout, well, then go warm-up weights plus another progressively heavier warm-up set afterwards for the next one. And then gradually over the course of 2 or 3 workouts, build yourself back up to where you were. And this, how fast you build up to where you were before really depends on how deconditioned you got. Now, after 2 weeks off, there is going to be a little bit of deconditioning, but it's not going to be massive. Like 2 weeks off, well, within 2 weeks back, you will be back to where you were before, right? That would be pretty safe to assume, unless, of course, you get injured. And this is what you got to be careful of. Anytime you come back to the gym or back to exercise after a layoff, you're very susceptible to injury because you have that ego and that impatience where you want to get back to where you were as fast as possible. And if your body is deconditioned and you're thinking in your mind, I got to lift a certain weight, like, again, just use that example. Let's just say it's 2 plates aside on the bench press. And you keep thinking to yourself, I got to bench 225 for 10 reps. And if I don't get 225 for 10 reps, oh, I'm a failure and life sucks and everything else. So then you go in there and you do it. And maybe it's too much for you at this time. And that's when you pull or strain something. And oh, shit, there goes the rotator cuff. And oh, I just pulled my pec. And now what was a little time off is going to lead to a bigger time off because you just pulled or strained or hurt yourself. Or, I mean, it could be even worse, maybe a full-on muscle tear. Like in these transitions, when you're coming back, you have to take it easy and just go through the motions and let your body build up slowly and gradually. Don't try and force anything. Like that's one of the things I don't like about this whole like no pain, no gain, suffer through, push through the pain, don't be a pussy and all this kind of like, it sounds cool. It sounds tough and everything else, but it's not the smart way to go. Like slow, steady really does win the race when it comes to fitness and building muscle and getting in shape. Like this is a long, slow marathon. It's not a sprint to the finish. So in your case, I would just recommend ease your way back into it. Don't be in a rush to try and match the weights that you used to lift. Just go through the motions and let it happen. Let it happen naturally. Within a few weeks, you'll be back to where you were and then setting some new personal records from there. All right, what else we got? We have Mohammed's joining in saying, I missed the cool video so much. Nice to see you again. I'm a regular. Thanks. Appreciate the feedback. We have Kane joining in from New Zealand at 8:46 in the morning. So you're in the future. Hopefully the future is looking good. Who else we got? Eagle Eye John saying, long time no see. He says, is progressive overload the only way for growth? No, I kind of addressed that in. Progressive overload is a principle, right? But is it the only way? Well, sort of, because I mean, like anytime you're doing, like, first of all, let's just define progressive overload. It just means doing more than you did before. Like, if you always do the same, then there's not going to be any progression. So you have to push yourself, but you have to do so in a safe manner for you. And it's not always about lifting heavier or pushing yourself harder or whatever. Like, you have to do it, but you have to, like, coax your body along, not try and force it along. And this is, it's a different mindset. And depending on where you are in your stage of training will really depend on how hard you can push that progressive overload. Like, for someone who's just starting out, the weights that you lift can increase very rapidly. Like, you could literally probably put on 5 pounds a week to your major lifts for a novice lifter. A lot of that is going to be strength, actual muscular strength that you're building. But a lot of it's going to be improved exercise technique, improved efficiency. There's a lot of variables that come into play. Like, think of the first time you ever did an exercise, whether that's a bench press or a squat or a deadlift or whatever. Like, let's just take the bench press, for example. I mean, you're probably wobbly, you're all over the place, and you don't know how to balance and support the weight. So, I mean, like, the muscles are working, but they're not working efficiently. They're not working in unison, and you're not being, utilizing all the muscles to their full extent. So they're all over, and there's all kinds of wasted energy as you're shaking and wobbling and trying to balance and support that weight. As you build up your technique and now you become more efficient, all of a sudden now you're into a proper groove, and just the efficiency alone is going to increase your strength. So you'll be able to lift much heavier. And a lot of times, like, you see lifters, their initial strength gains is not so much from pure muscular strength, it's from being more efficient and better technique. So you'll see the weights increase week after week just from more efficiency and better technique. But then you get to the point where, okay, now it's actual building muscular strength, right? You being able to fire and focus, like, use your central nervous system to be able to generate that energy when you need it, to be able to focus that energy and to peak it. So, I mean, that's going to have a big impact. And then you very often you'll get to the point then, as you get older and older, then tendon and ligament strength start to come into play. So sometimes, and this is something I've noticed myself, I can't lift as heavy as I used to in, say, like my 20s and 30s. And it's not so much muscular strength, it's because my joints, tendons, and ligaments won't support it. Because I'll start doing certain exercises and, oh, that hurts the shoulder, and, oh, that hurts the elbows, or that's hard on the knees or something like that. And, the muscular strength is there, but the joints, tendons, and ligaments are kind of like the weak link sometimes. So very often what I do with my workouts these days is, instead of always trying to push heavier weight, I'm focusing on quality over quantity. So feeling the muscles work, using more time under tension, really focusing on getting a muscular contraction, not just simply moving the weight from point A to point B. So, I mean, you can take a lighter weight and use slow tempo, good control form, and actually get a really good muscular contraction, versus sometimes taking a heavier weight and then heaving and swinging and jerking the weight up. I mean, yeah, you're moving the weight and you're moving heavier weight, but it's not as good of a quality of contraction. So, like, if anybody sees me in the gym, like, I'm not throwing around crazy heavy weight, but I'm taking moderate weight and really trying to work that so I can feel the muscles that I'm trying to work, isolate those muscles, right? When I'm doing a set of bicep curls, I don't want to be feeling it in the lower back because I'm heaving and swinging the weight up, right? And rocking it. I want to have a nice controlled contraction, just focus on the muscle that I'm working. So again, it changes as you progress through the different stages, right? Like, it's not just a one size fits all answer. But again, to kind of get back to it, like, you do have to focus on progressive overload, meaning you do want to get stronger over time. But that definition of strength can change as you become more mature in your training. And very often when guys are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond, they're not going to be pushing super heavy weights. And sometimes you may actually have to downgrade the weight, but you can upgrade the intensity and the quality of those exercises and still make progress. All right, moving on. Let's see what else we got there. Emma saying, haven't seen you in a while. Good that you're back. Thanks. Appreciate the support. Nice to see the regulars tuning in, and glad to be able to chat with you again. All right, Alex saying, if a lifter has limited time, say 40 minutes, 2 days a week, and prefers full body, I like to pair squats and benches. What sets and reps would you recommend? All right. Again, it really depends on, is this a beginner or is this an intermediate or is this someone who's advanced or whatever? But you can still make progress even if you literally have 40 minutes 2 days a week, right? You still can make progress. And one thing that I would focus on in this situation is when you're at the gym doing your 40-minute workouts, focus on exercises that can only be done at the gym. And then when you're home, you could probably squeeze in mini workouts to fill in the gaps. And I'll give you some examples. Like when you're at the gym, like bench presses and leg presses and pull downs and squats and, the big exercises that you can do at the gym, do those there at the gym, right? Focus on those. But then when you're home, maybe you could throw in some core work at home. Maybe if you have a set of resistance bands, you can do some extra bicep work or lateral raises for your shoulders or things like that. And this is something that I did myself back when I was going through my whole get back in shape after 40 journey, because I was struggling for time. And I used to have this mental block thinking, well, if I don't have like 2 hours to dedicate to a workout, then I don't have time to work out. But that's a crock of BS. Like anything is better than nothing. And one thing that I really got into is doing mini workouts at home. So, I don't have an hour or two to go to the gym, but hey, I can do some a body weight circuit at home. I got a set of dumbbells. I can do some bicep curls and tricep extensions and lateral raises and things like that. So if you have a set of dumbbells or resistance bands, and if you don't, they're very easy to get, right? So you should get it. You can supplement those 2 workouts a week at the gym with isolation exercises and small things that you can do at home. But then when you're at the gym, make the most of it and utilize exercises that can only be done at the gym. And I think if you did that, you would be working up more than twice a week, but it would be still very efficient and very productive. And like, this is something that I still do now. For example, like if I want to do some strength training and I'm really busy and I just I don't have time to go to the gym and I don't have time to do this, you know what? Hey, I can do push-ups and I can do body weight squats and just do that, like set for set, do them in a superset fashion, like set of push-ups, set of squats, rest a minute, set of push-ups, set of squats, rest a minute, and like do that for 10 or 15 minutes. And I mean, you'll be amazed at the quality of workout you get. Like you're still hitting all the major muscle groups, but like that's an intense workout. I'm telling you, if you haven't done it, try it. Just 15 minutes, push-ups, squats, rest a minute, push-ups, squats, rest a minute, and do that nonstop for 15 minutes. And I'm telling you, you will get such a pump. It'd probably actually be more intense than most of what you do at the gym anyway. Like it doesn't have to be complicated. I mean, if you have a pull-up bar, you can throw in pull-ups with that as well. Like it doesn't have to be overly complicated to be effective. And that's the thing. And I mean, if you want some help with this, like feel free to reach out to me. Like you can send me an email. My personal email address is leeh@leehayward.com. Or if we're friends on Facebook, send me a message through Facebook. Just go to Facebook, search for Lee Hayward. You'll see my profile image. Like you search for Lee Hayward on Facebook, and it's me doing a front double bicep, right? So you'll see that, right? I think there's a lot of Lee Haywards on Facebook, but I'm probably the only one doing a front double bicep in my profile pic. So you'll be able to find me that way. But send me a message and we can chat about it. Because like it really depends on you, your situation, what you have available and everything else in order for me to actually give you a proper routine to follow. So again, if you want some help, reach out to me. I'd be happy to have a chat with you and try and point you in the right direction. And if for some reason I can't, then I'll recommend somebody who can, give you some outside resources that you can look into. All right, moving on. We've got Samuel saying, I like fasted cardio, but need food prior to weights. That's me personally. Yeah, I can relate to that. And if you're doing low intensity or short duration cardio, like an hour or less, you can do fasted cardio without any ill effects. But if you're getting into big cardio sessions or high intensity cardio sessions where they're stretching into the 2-3 hours and beyond, that's when it makes a difference. And if you've never done it before, you can't truly appreciate it. But this is something that I really noticed this past, or was 2 weeks ago when I did the Provincial Road Cycling Championships. That was a 112-kilometer course that they had set up. Took over 3.5 hours nonstop, like not even stopping for a pee. Not like I did not get off the bike for over 3.5 hours, and it was at a very high intensity because it's a race, right? I'm pushing myself the whole time. I've never done that before because I've done long rides before, but they've always been like stop and go, like ride for a half hour, ride for an hour, stop for a break, have a piss, drink some water, have a snack, and go again. And so, I mean, I've still covered that distance, but I've never done so nonstop at high intensity before. And I found I went for about 2 hours and 45 minutes feeling good. And I carved up before. I was having nutrition on board, like I was drinking a carbohydrate drink and amino acids. That's what I had mixed up in my water bottle, and I was sipping that through the whole time. So I was trying to keep my glycogen and blood sugar elevated throughout the ride. But even with that, after about 2 hours and 45 minutes, I just ran on empty. My blood sugar just crashed and I bonked. And for that last lap of the race, from the, say, about 2 hours, 45 minutes to about the 3 hour, 30-minute mark, my energy just tanked. And even when I look at my stats, like my heart rate just dropped, my output just dropped. It's just like going off a cliff. And I went from feeling good to just like almost like running on empty. It's almost like you're driving your car and everything feels great, but then all of a sudden the gas gauge goes down to empty, and then like there's nothing there. That's what it feels like when you run out of glycogen and when your blood sugar crashes. And in endurance sports, they refer to it as bonking, right? But that happens when you go deep, right? Like I'm talking, in my case, it's 3 hours, 30 minutes nonstop. Most people are not doing anywhere near that. Like most people aren't even doing 3 hours and 30 minutes a week, let alone 3 hours and 30 minutes in a single session. So if you're only doing short sessions, like half hour or even an hour, you're probably not going to have any issues with fasted cardio. Because I mean, I did that myself for my whole bodybuilding, career, if you will. Like, I mean, I would do fasted cardio for an hour each morning, and I never had any ill effects from it. But now I know when you go deep into it, like 2-3 hours and beyond, that's when nutrition comes into play. And you just can't rely on body fat, because body fat, it doesn't give you the energy fast enough. Body fat is slow burning energy. That's the energy you burn when you're just sitting around the house doing nothing. That's fat oxidation when you're just like low intensity. High intensity, even at cardio intensity, that's your high octane fuel, and that needs glycogen. That needs carbohydrates. And if you don't have enough carbohydrates, then your performance suffers. But yeah, so that's something that I've really come to learn and appreciate over the past, year or so, that I've really focused on more high intensity endurance. The difference, because I was always coming from the meathead bodybuilding background, thinking, oh, I can do fasted cardio. Never thought I needed energy or anything like that. But now I know the difference, right? And it's just because I never put myself in that position before. How are the guns looking at the moment? There they are. There's the guns. That's from Emma. Big Dog saying hi. Hello, Big Dog. Let's see what else we got. Kane saying it may help. We've been locked down here in New Zealand, so you have to book into the gym. Workouts last no longer than an hour. Okay, yeah. I've never dealt with that myself, but I've heard people who've had to pre-book their workouts, and it takes the spontaneity out of a workout. It really does. When you just can't show up to the gym and you got to be watching the clock and all that kind of stuff, it takes the fun out of a workout. Like in my case, when I go for a workout or when I go for a bike ride or something like that, ideally, I like to schedule it where I can just go and enjoy myself and not have to look at the clock. Right? I hate feeling pressured where, oh shit, I got to get it done. I'm on the clock. That takes the fun out of it for me. It really does. Now, I mean, if you have to, right? Make it work. But what I would recommend for those of you who are in such a situation where you're on time restraints, do your warm up and mobility exercises that you need to do. You can do that at home before you even go to the gym. Like, your little general warm up routine, like even walk around the block. That could be your cardio warm up. If you want to do some arm circles and certain exercises and deep knee bends and just some stretching or mobility exercises, like very often you could probably even do that at home. So that doesn't cut into your hour in the gym, And then when you actually get in the gym and now you're on that clock working out for an hour, you can focus on the things that can only be done at the gym while you're there. And then afterwards, you can supplement it with things that can be done outside the gym, like stretching, mobility work, isolation work, like dumbbells or resistance bands, things like that. Like you can do that at home, right? Do those exercises at home. When you're at the gym, just do the things that can only be done at the gym so that you're maximizing your time efficiently, and you're not, going in there and like spending like 10 minutes on the treadmill and then doing some mobility work and doing all this. And that cuts into your hour when you could have done all that outside. You could have done that before you got to the gym or whatever. Like instead of walking on the treadmill, just walk around the block, right? It's just simple things like that. And then you can maximize your hour in the gym. That's what I would do if I was on a time restraint. But fingers crossed, thankfully, we're not on time restraints. All right, let's move on. We got Mohammed's asking another question. What's it? Any tips to fix the mindset and crave more healthy food to avoid eating junk food or at least decrease it? Yeah. I actually have a few videos on that, and I've got a new video coming that's going to kind of address some of these strategies. But one thing that this is what I do when it comes to nutrition, and this is what I recommend for a lot of my coaching students. Don't focus on the foods you're not allowed to eat. So don't think of like, I'm not allowed to eat this, I'm not allowed to eat that, right? I got to cut out the pizza, I got to cut out the ice cream, I got to cut out the whatever. Don't think of what you're not allowed to eat, and instead focus on filling up on the good stuff. So instead of trying to eliminate, just think of what can you add. Like whenever you sit down to a meal, I always think like, I want to have lean protein with this meal, right? Meat, chicken, fish, eggs, dairy, protein supplements, or something like that. Always have a serving of protein with each meal. Ideally, you want to have a serving of vegetables with each meal. If not vegetables or fruit, right? One or the other. Ideally vegetables most of the time, but if it has to be fruit, that's fine as well. But fill up on protein, vegetables, and fruit. Like make that the foundation. And then afterwards, if you're craving something, whether it's carbohydrates or even if it's some junk food, then have that after you've already filled up on the good stuff. And make that your habit. Like you can still have your junk, right? If you really want to, I don't know, you really want to have a scoop of ice cream. Well, have your freaking scoop of ice cream, but have it after you've eaten your protein and your veggies first. Right? If you really want to have a slice of pizza, have your slice of pizza, but have it after you've eaten your protein and veggies first. Start with the good stuff, fill up on that first. And what's going to happen just by doing that, one, you're going to ensure that you get that in your system, but then it's also going to tip the scale so that you start to crave the good stuff and you're less likely to crave the bad stuff. Excuse me, I'm going to tickle my throat there. And this is a good strategy because if you focus on what you're not allowed to have, then you start obsessing over what you're not allowed to have. But if you know that there's no limits, like I can eat whatever I want, whenever I want, and you have no restrictions, you're not on a diet, so to speak, it takes the pressure off. Like I know right now, like I can eat whatever I want. Like I can pick up the phone, I can order a pizza, I can go to McDonald's, I can go to the ice cream shop. Like I can do whatever I want, but I don't want to. Because one, I don't like the way that food makes me feel, and I don't like the effects of it. But I'm allowed to do it. Like I'm not on a diet which says, hey, you're not allowed to eat this stuff. I mean, it's just like I can go to the pub and I can get loaded drunk tonight if I want, but I choose not to because I don't like the way it makes me feel, right? And I don't want to have my whole weekend ruined over a hangover because I got drunk on a Friday night. Like I don't have these restrictions where I'm not allowed to do it. I'm allowed to do whatever the heck I want. And so are you, right? I mean, you can have whatever you want. And I find that by having this mindset shift where you just choose not to, you choose to fill up on the good stuff because that's what is going to fuel your body and energize it and make it feel healthy, and focus on the health and the performance and not the deprivation saying, oh, I can't eat this and I can't have that. And because like that's one of the biggest downfalls I see when I'm coaching people is they make up these rules. Like I've even seen coaching students of mine like say, oh, Like I can't even go to the movies because I can't have popcorn at the movies, or I can't do this, or I can't do that, or I can't go to a family dinner because they're going to have some junk food there, right? And they put all these restrictions, and it's not sustainable. Like if you feel like you're on a diet and you feel like there's all these pressures and restrictions and stuff around you, I mean, how long are you going to stick with that for? Not very freaking long. Nobody likes to suffer it out. Like it has to be enjoyable, it has to be sustainable, and it has to be like a seamless part of your lifestyle. So in my case, I choose to have more good food than bad, but from time to time, I'm still going to go out to a restaurant. Like for example, today, my wife and I went out to a restaurant for lunch, right? And there was what was it we had there? There was a sandwich we ordered. It was like a ham and cheese sandwich and stuff. I mean, it was delicious. I enjoyed it. But it certainly wasn't low fat. It was ham and cheese and bacon and everything else on it. And I mean, it was a nice sandwich. But like that's the exception, right? I had that. I enjoyed it. Next meal, back on track again, right? Back to like chicken and vegetables and that kind of stuff. Next meal, like I don't make a big deal of it. So it's just a balancing act. Like as long as I'm having more good food than bad, I'm going to get better results than bad. But if you eat more bad food than good, then you're going to get more bad results. So it's just this balancing act, right? Like you just want to tip the scale in favor of more good choices than bad choices over the long term, right? It's like running a business. Like you don't need to have a profitable business every single day. You don't need to turn a profit every day. You just need to turn a profit most days, right? It's okay to have a day here and there where you're in the red. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Every business is going to go through that. But as long as there's more days in the green than there are in the red, you're going to make profit. Same with your fitness and fat loss. As long as you have more good days than bad, you can still make progress over the long term. And don't think of, I'm not allowed to eat this, I'm not allowed to eat that. Because when you start putting these restrictions on it, that actually makes you want it more. But if you don't have any restrictions on it, you want it less. It's weird. Like think of children. Those of you who are parents, you'll be able to relate to this. If you tell a child they're not allowed to do something, what do they want to do? They want to do exactly what you told them they're not allowed to do. So if you said like, hey, don't touch that, whatever, don't touch the stuff on the mantle. The kids want to go over and touch the stuff on the mantle. Or if you say, hey, don't go tromping through the flower garden. What do they want to do? They want to go tromp through the flower garden. But like, if you don't make a big deal of that stuff, then they don't make a big deal of it either, and they don't want to do it. But as soon as you draw attention to it and say, hey, you're not allowed to do this, then our brain automatically rewires and says, I want to do what I'm not allowed to do. It's just like this inner rebellion in us, right? We want to just, so you put these restrictions on stuff, you automatically want to do more of that. Whereas if there's no restrictions and you can do whatever you want, then it's like, you don't want it as much. And it's just weird. It's like a reverse psychology approach, and it actually works really well. Anyway, let's move on. I had a tickle in my throat there. Not used to talking this much. That's why I got a tickle in my throat. I haven't done one of these live video chats in a while where I'm just blabbing nonstop for for those of you who are married. Like, man, you don't get to talk this much around your wife, right? You're listening all the time. You're not the one talking. So I'm not used to talking this long. That's why I got a tickle in my throat. I'm used to just saying, yes, dear, nodding my head. All right, what else we got there? Any advice for night shifters? I wake up at 8, coffee, workout, breakfast at 11 p.m. Is it good? That's from Neil. I'm going to be honest. No, it ain't good. Like, you're in the reverse of the rest of the world. I mean, I'm just going to say it like it is. Like, I would not want to work the night shift. No way. I've never did it. Well, I have done a little bit in the past, but only very short term. But I remember a while back, this was several years ago, my wife was on a routine where she was working the night shift for months on end. And I hated it because it threw our whole rhythm and relationship and everything else off. Like it does mess with you. Okay, you get a little bit more money per hour, but you gotta, like, is it worth it? I don't know. To me, it's not. No, I mean, obviously, if it's all that aside, I mean, it's what you got, right? Is it ideal? No, it's not ideal. But can you still make it work? Yes, you can. You can always make the best of the situation. So in your situation, I mean, you still need to focus on the fundamentals of the fitness, the nutrition, the rest, and the recovery, but it's a lot harder. It really is. It's harder to get like 8 solid hours of sleep in the day, because obviously you wake up and you got the sun shining in and everything else. And it throws your whole, rhythm off from the rest of the world, right? Like everything is kind of like out of whack. But it can still be done, right? I mean, I got several of my coaching students who do work odd shifts, and some of them work night shifts and everything else. And it can still be done, but it's going to be challenging. And what you want to focus on is don't give in to the junk food mentality. And this is something for whatever reason, people who are up late, it's like, I don't know what happens, but it's just like that triggers your brain to think like, I got to eat junk food. Like I got to go to the vending machine and I got to eat junk food. And they don't think of the healthy food choices because it's late. Like we've been raised and brainwashed into thinking like, okay, these are breakfast foods and this is dinner foods. And then the evening, those are the snack foods. And a lot of times when people are working night shifts, they automatically go for the snack foods, right? The high calories, the junk foods, the processed stuff. So focus on, instead of worrying about like what time it is or what meal it is, just focus on making the best decision possible for your very next meal. And this is a strategy that can be used for anybody, regardless of when you work, but don't overthink the process and try and think everything has to be laid out perfectly. I always think of like, how can I make the best decision in the moment right now for my very next meal, my very next workout? What can I do to make sure that I get the best night/day sleep that I can right now? And I find like if you break it down like that and always focus on doing the best you can right now in the moment, it makes the process a lot easier instead of trying to pre-plan this perfect routine in the future, because very often things don't go according to plan. And I've been guilty of this. Like I've spent hours sometimes writing out my weekly plan, saying, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to eat this and I'm going to eat that. And I have this perfect plan all mapped out, laid out. A couple days into it, something throws the schedule off. And then I'm like, oh, screw it. I ruined this week. Shag it. I'll start again on Monday. And I get off track and flustered and just, I don't make any progress that way. I don't have any of these pre-planned visions anymore where like, oh, everything has to be perfect day by day, week by week, and pre-planned out to the letter. I just say like, okay, next meal. How can I make that the best meal? How can I make sure I'm getting good quality protein, good quality vegetables, eating the proper portions for that very next meal? Next workout. How can I maximize that workout? Whether that's a gym workout, whether that's a home workout, whether that's a cardio workout, whether I'm on a time restraint because the gyms and COVID lockdown, we only have 1 hour windows. Like, how can I make the best right now in the moment, this situation? And I find like, if you do that, like, don't overthink, like, what am I going to do tomorrow, the next day, next week, next month? No, what am I going to do next meal, next workout, tonight's sleep? What can I do right now, to make this the best? I find like if you break it down and just focus on doing the best you can in the moment, that actually leads to real sustainable results versus having this pre-planned program. And then once real life hits and something throws you off from your pre-planned schedule, then very often people end up throwing in the towel and saying, oh, I can't do this. This is too hard. I quit, whatever. Like, just do the best you can in the moment. And this is what makes it more sustainable as a lifestyle versus this all or nothing perfection approach. And this is something I always preach. And if you follow me for a while, you heard me say this before. It just has to be good enough, but good enough consistently, right? It doesn't have to be nail on the head, perfect, spot on. You just have to be in the ballpark, right? But stay in the ballpark. Don't be like, oh, I'm spot on, perfect, 100% for 2 or 3 days or 2 or 3 weeks. And then once you get off track, you're like, oh, screw it. I knew I couldn't do it. And then you go back to your old habits again. It just has to be good enough. As long as it's good enough, even if it's not perfect, good enough, but good enough consistently will still produce results. And that's what you need to focus on, regardless if you're working a night shift, a day shift, or whatever. So hopefully that helps. All right, what else we got there? I'm going to get ready to clue it up soon, but I'm going to answer a few more. Samuel saying, with a certain muscle group, how many sets would you recommend as compound lifts and how many sets as an isolation in a single routine? That depends on you, your fitness level, your goals, it depends. It depends what's your stronger muscle groups, if you have any weaker muscle groups, are you trying to prioritize it? Is this a lagging muscle group? Like, that's like asking, how long is a piece of string? Or like, how much gas does a car burn? Right? I mean, it's such a broad question, and there's a lot of variables that need to be addressed. So what I would recommend, Samuel, if you want some help with customizing a workout for you in your situation, send me an email, right? You can just email me. Again, my personal email address is leeh@leehayward.com, or friend me up on Facebook and we can chat through there. I mean, it's for those of you who use Facebook, I know Facebook has a love-hate relationship. Like, some people love it, some people hate it. I personally like it because I find it's a very efficient form of communication. But I'm active through there. So if you want to message me through Facebook, feel free to do so. I mean, I'm active through there because we have a private VIP Facebook coaching group for the guys who are going through the Muscle After 40 blueprint. And I'm on there pretty much throughout the day, every day. So if you want to get in touch with me quick, Facebook's the way to do it. But send me a message and we can have a chat and see what would be ideal for you and your specific situation. Now, if you just want some general guidelines, like how to structure a workout, I got tons of videos up on the main Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel right now. Right, just go to the playlists and you can see sample workout routines that will show you like how many sets and how many reps and how many exercises to do. I mean, that's a good starting point. It's kind of like, a generic, hey, do this to get started. But if you want to customize it to you as an individual for your body type and your specific strengths and weaknesses and what you want to focus on, well, that's when you really need to chat back and forth, because I can't give specifics unless I know more about you and your situation. We got Azim joining in. Says, Lee, it's been a long time. He says he's been busy balancing personal and professional life, but I'm back and I'm not going anywhere. 1-2. Okay. Oh, okay. You're thinking 1-2 means that this is the first of a second half of a message. Okay. I'm almost obese. Haven't done any exercise. I will go through your channel, start from the beginning. Pray for me because it seems like it's going to be a long journey. Whoa. Okay. So you really gotten off track and you've piled on some unwanted weight. You know what? I've been guilty of that myself, right? I mean, I'm not going to try and pretend that everything's rosy and perfect all the time. I've went through ups and downs along with my fitness journey. And that's what led me to this whole creating the Muscle After 40 blueprint, because once I stopped competing in bodybuilding and real life settled in, right? I became a father, and then I had time restraints and not endless time to just go to the gym whenever I wanted and that kind of stuff. And all that stuff just started to compound. And it's all these little in the moment decisions, like I was talking about before, right? Like, I went from basically being able to work out and do what I want to all of a sudden, now I got all these time restraints. I'm not sleeping as well because I was waking up in the middle of the night to a crying baby and all these other responsibilities. And it's just like, I'm too tired to work out today. You know what? I'll start again tomorrow. And then, of course, tomorrow would roll around. It's like, I'll start again next week. And then when it came to the diet, and I was like, I'm too tired to meal prep. I'll get back on track tomorrow. In the meantime, I'm just going to order a pizza tonight, or I'm going to get some takeout or whatever. And then tomorrow would roll around. It's like, I'll still get another meal of takeout. I'll get back on track on Monday, right? Monday, we're going to start again on Monday. We'll get this stuff on track. And all these little in the moment decisions, like, I always had the best of intentions. Like, I was always going to start again, but I kept delaying the starting again, right? Or I'd start for a day or two and get off track. And then I say, this week's a write-off. I'll start again next week, right? And it's all these little in the moment decisions. And they started to compound because I was having more bad choices than good. And not before long, next thing you know, I don't recognize the fat slob looking back at me in the mirror. Like, it creeps up on you ever so slowly. But at the same time, like, you can reverse it by just making these in the moment decisions. And it doesn't matter how busy you are or whatever, what's your situation. Like, when you sit down to the table for your very next meal, you have 100% control over what goes into your mouth. And even if you're in not a perfect environment, maybe you're at a restaurant or you're at a family gathering or something like that, and you're not preparing the food or choosing the food choices, you still have control. Because, one, you can control the portion sizes and you can control exactly what goes into your mouth. So, like, if you're at a family dinner, like, you don't have to fill up on the high fattening foods, or you don't have to smear everything with gravy and sauces. Like, maybe you're going to have, hey, I'm going to fill up on some of this protein. I'm going to have some of this vegetable. I'm going to pass on that, whatever, this processed crap stuff, or I'm not going to drown it in sauce and gravy. Like, even if it's a spaghetti and meatballs meal, okay, well, I'll fill up on the meatballs and have a little bit of spaghetti and go easy on the sauce. Like, you still have control, right? You still have control. If nothing else, you got control over the portions. Like, so, like, don't give in to thinking that you'd have no control. Because once you give into that, like, oh, I can't control what I'm eating, and poor me, I suck, this and that, and blah, 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 that's when things just spiral out of control. But if you always maintain the position, like, I am in control, like, I can choose whether I get off my ass and exercise today or not, right? Like, most people find time to sit down and scroll through social media, or watch television, or watch Netflix, or whatever your streaming service of choice is. Hey, you're finding time to watch me on this, right? Like, this is going to be an hour-long chat. Like, this could have been an hour of exercise, right? Like, I'm not saying don't watch my videos, but just being honest, right? I mean, or you could have watched this while doing exercise. Maybe you have a piece of cardio equipment at home. You could have put this on and been doing cardio this whole time. Like, you have control over what you're doing. And once you accept that responsibility, and you know that you're in control over your situation, I mean, even if it's not perfect, it can still be good enough, but good enough consistently. That's going to start moving you in the right direction. Because once you play the victim role, oh, poor me, I have no control. Oh, I don't make the meals. I'm not in control of this. Or I'm working, 12 hours a day. I don't have time to do this. And you become the victim, then you're going to just suffer the victim's mentality, and you're going to just let your health and fitness spiral out of control. But if you maintain responsibility and say, you know what, I have control, even if it's not perfect, I can do something. I can do something. I can make a better food choice, or I can at least choose to eat, more good food than bad food, or I can choose to get off my ass and go for a 10-minute walk around the block versus sit down and watch 10 minutes of whatever, cat videos on YouTube, right? You have control. And once you accept that, it's amazing the difference. And even just a little bit will help to create some positive momentum that will carry forward into the future. And this is how I really made the turnaround, was I just started to accept responsibility for my own results, and not giving into the whole, I've got a slow metabolism, I've got bad genetics, oh, poor me, I suck, blah, blah, blah. Like, once you get out of that shit and thinking, and just say, you know what, I can do something, and just do whatever little something you can do, it's going to start to compound over time. All right, what else we got? Moving on. Let's see. I'm going to get ready to clue it up, because we've almost been going an hour. I'm just going to answer one more question before we go. Let's see what we got. We got a lot of questions. There's no way I'm going to answer them all. I heard since childhood, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. I think we've all heard that one. How appropriate are fruits in the diet, like bananas and apples and oranges? I love fruit. I eat fruit every single day, right? I know some people say, oh, don't eat fruit because it has sugar and blah, blah, blah. Look, if fruit helps to satisfy your sweet tooth with natural, unprocessed sugar, I mean, and the thing with fruit, it's not like eating candy or junk food, because fruit is it's nutrient dense, it's high in fiber, it's portion controlled, and you just can't endlessly eat it. Like, nobody's going to go binge on a bag of apples. Like, say, man, I started eating apples and I couldn't stop and I ate the whole bag. Or, man, I started eating bananas, I couldn't stop and ate the whole bunch. Right? Like, nobody binges on that. Like, you'll eat 1, 2, maybe 3 apples, and then you're like, I'm sick of apples, I don't want any more. Like bananas, you'll eat 1 or 2, and then you're like, I don't want to eat any more bananas. Like, it's natural food has this built-in eating satiation, where you eat it and it fills you up and it satisfies you. And yeah, it has some sugar in it, but that'll satisfy that sweet tooth. So then you're not like neglecting the fruit. This is one thing I see it all the time, and I just get a kick out of it. And I've been guilty of it myself. So I'm not really pointing fingers at people, because I've been guilty of this. I'd say, oh, I'm not going to eat the fruit because it has sugar and I don't want sugar. And then I would not have anything, like no fruit, no nothing, just eating the boiled chicken and broccoli diet. But then, say the weekend rolls around, I say, oh, it's cheat meal. it's cheat day. And then I would go and binge on cakes and cookies and ice cream and whatever and think it was a free-for-all because this is cheat day. I'm allowed to have whatever I want on cheat day, but then on a normal day, I'm not allowed to have a freaking banana, right? But on cheat day, I'm allowed to have a tub of ice cream. Like, it makes no sense. So now what I do is whenever I'm craving something sweet or whatever, like I got a fruit basket out there on my kitchen counter now, and it's got oranges and apples and bananas, and then we got in the fridge, I got strawberries and grapes and cantaloupe and melon. Like, I fill up on fruit and vegetables and protein and natural unprocessed foods because eating those satisfies my sweet tooth craving. It helps to keep my appetite under control, and it prevents me from then wanting to go and snack on other processed sweets afterwards. So don't be afraid of fruit. Like, nobody got fat because they ate too many fruits and vegetables. Like, you are not going to see anybody who's like 300 pounds or bigger, obese, and say, oh man, geez, look at me, I'm 300 pounds because I ate too many fruits and vegetables. No, it's because I ate too many burgers and fries and pizza and ice cream and all you can eat buffets and McDonald's and whatever. Like, nobody got fat because they ate too many fruits and vegetables, right? I mean, maybe there's an exception to the rule. Like, there's some unicorn out there in, in the far ends of the world who got obese because he ate too many fruits and vegetables. I mean, with 7 billion people in the world, anything's possible. But 99.9% of the population did not get fat because they ate too many fruits and vegetables, right? It ain't going to happen. If anything, eating fruits and vegetables is going to help you to lose weight, not gain it. So my opinion on that, enjoy fruit. I eat fruit every single day. I love it. And that's how I keep my sweet tooth in check. And it fills me up with natural unprocessed foods. All right. I'm going to get ready and clue it up, guys. I've been going for an hour. That's long enough. long enough for me to be rambling my gab. And of course, it's time for me to sit down to an evening meal with the family. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, chat. I enjoyed doing it. It's good to be back. And the plan now, every Friday afternoon, I'm going to be doing one of these. And I will be posting in advance the time that I'll be doing it. Like today on my Facebook page, I posted up in advance saying, hey, I'm going to be live on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel doing a Q&A. So if you haven't already done so, make sure to friend me up on Facebook or follow me over there because that's where throughout the week, I'm staying in touch and posting content throughout the week on Facebook. But then YouTube, that's when I post the longer video content. So, obviously subscribe to the YouTube channel, but friend me up over on Facebook and we can keep in touch over there. And if you do have any questions or you want some help with a customized workout or nutrition plan, reach out to me. Send me an email or message me and we can chat and brainstorm some ideas that are right for you and your situation. All right, I'm going to clue it up. Have yourself a good one. Have yourself a good weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Over and out.